Good everybody, thanks for stopping by. In today's video, we're going to be having a look at a birthday present that I've just given myself recently. Now, if you follow the channel, you're probably aware that I've done reviews on a whole bunch of different LED driving lights, light bars, and that sort of stuff, similar to all the stuff that you can see on the front of the car at the moment. Now, quite a lot of that stuff has actually been sent out to me for free for the purpose of review, including the LightForce stuff that I've got, or the 9-inch driving lights that we've got there. As far as manufacturers goes, I've worked with a number of them. That includes Vic Off-Road, who supplied the 2 sets of LightForce, the 9-inch that we've got on there. You can see the laser lights that we've done a review on. Oxbeam, which we've got the Oxbeam light bar on. We've had the Oxbeam 9-inch driving lights as well. I've had the eBay 7-inch driving lights that I had on there originally. We've had some Sunyi stuff. We've got the co-light, obviously the co-light lights down here. We've had co-lights on the Commodore. And there's one I'm missing, and I've got a product for them right now that I'm working on, and I can't remember who it was. And Novsight as well, who supplied the kind of ditch lights, the 3-inch pod lights that we've got on the Commodore out there as well. And as far as Novsight goes, I'm also checking out a brilliant little camp light that they sent out. Review of that to come real soon. So I've decided I've got a week off. It's my birthday coming up. I'll be 50. Thank you very much. And I love testing lights. I love tech, as you know, like my solar stuff. Is all the lights that I've had to date have been budget friendly. Somewhere in the middle of the range. The lights we're looking at today, these LightForce beasts, have just been released about 2 months ago. Which made them quite the challenge to get, and I'll tell you about that shortly. One of these is the price of 2 of these in their harness. So just for one of these lights, and I might as well tell you, $599 for the single light. You can buy them as singles. So for the pair, $11.98. And then you've got to buy a harness, so that's not included in the kit. The harness itself, $150. I did have a look at a bunch of different retailers that supposedly supplied these, or LightForce. I called about 5 before I finally got one that actually had any in stock. Again, relatively new. One supplier told me that they'd been discontinued, and I said they were released about 2 months ago. And ultimately, you don't get any discount or any package pricing for this. So if I went and bought just the one light, $599. You go and buy 2 lights, they come in the 2-pack, obviously, $11.98. Want to throw your harness in, $150 individually, $1,349 or $1,348, whatever it is. So there's no, buy a light, $600. Buy the 2 lights, $11.50, for example. Buy that with your harness, $12.50. Just some sort of packaging deal, but no, that goes out the window here. So motivations for going with LightForce, I was looking at Nava, I was looking at Ultravision, I was looking at EFS, I was looking at Steady, right? Those were the brands I was looking at. I wanted to focus on something that was Australian made. Now LightForce, as it says here, congratulations on your purchase of the Beast LightForce. We appreciate your support. We're Australian designed, tested, and manufactured, right? So there was a motivation there for me to go with this brand. Not necessarily to go with the lights, but a motivation for me to go with this brand. Happy with all my Chinese lights, more than happy with the Chinese lights, especially for the price I've been paying on the channel. As much as I get, lots of my Chinese products and the lights and so on and so on, ultimately they're the guys that reach out to me and say, are you interested? Now, we've done GME in the past, so obviously they're an iconic Australian brand, as much as LightForce is. Given the opportunity and the fact that I had to lay down my own dollars, a considerable number of those dollars, that's why I went with Australian made. Talking about, Australian made, can you see the Skippy on the back? I love this. I really like the design. I just like branding on my covers though. I don't like, it just reminds me of the Kings, putting the Kings on everything they've got. Now, don't get me wrong, these are completely at the other end of the spectrum to the Kings, and quality made. And look, and if I'm going to continue to review the budget type end of the lights, I've got to have something to compare them to. So we're just tasting something different on the channel. I think they suggest something like only 1600 metres, or it might even be 1400 metres. We'll put the spec up. I can't remember the lumens, but it seems considerably lower than what you will see when you go and look at Chinese stuff. Now, I hate to say it, but I'm more inclined to believe the Australian product with their realistic specs and suggestions about how far their light's going to travel, etc., compared to when you see the 1 billion lumens, or 1 billion lumens output on your Chinese spec lights. Let's face it, your Chinese branded stuff, the specs on it's usually bullshit. Not always, and for the most part, the more genuine guys that we deal with, like I deal with LightFox and we deal with the Oxbeam stuff, etc. I tend to trust those a little bit more, but still take it with a grain of salt. Now, as far as LightForce goes, I would trust the specs that they supply, and we're going to put those up on the screen there. If they used a Deutsch plug and we didn't have to worry about using their harness, because there's something special about these lights that requires a special harness, then I could have just had these bolted up and running. They'd be done by now. Just something I have noticed though, that I think I'm going to say is missing. Normally you've got the anti-vibration pads, the rubber pads that would sit under these, and I'm not seeing any in the packet. There are some plugs. Now these are, again, unique. They're not a Deutsch plug. They look to be a form of Deutsch plug. We might as well cover off why these are special. They're a 3-mode light. A number of times I've sort of said, look, if I can find a 9-inch driving light that would do the job of the driving lights and the light bar at the same time, had a nice spread, then I would go back to just driving with the 9-inch lights and I'd get rid of the light bar altogether. I think these are the unicorn that I'm after. So you've got your spot lights up the top, that's your spot, and I believe down the bottom doesn't appear to be any dimpling. They look like they're for throw. I can't tell angle wise. Then you've got these middle lights here. You can see these strips here. They're for a spread, right? So they're, not to say replacing your light bar, but should have the spread of a light bar. And we'll put the beam pattern up on the screen. I'm always banging on about beam pattern, and I think these might be the holy grail. Jesus, I'm hoping they are. The amount of money I spent on them, for them not to be what I'm after, I'm going to be a little bit disappointed. What you can do from the switch is there's 3 modes effectively. You can just have on your spot, so you can be throwing your light down the road. You can turn that off. You can just have on your spread, so your light bar spread, floodlight, if you will. And then mode 3 obviously is combining all of that together, which frankly is probably going to be the way they're going to get ran. Let's see what a $150 harness looks like. Smells absolutely wonderful. Actually, it smells like a BCF shop. It's obviously a decent size relay. It's going to be 40 amp, and it is. Obviously, we've got the plugs for our light. What I'm seeing here is this thing. This is obviously going to be the connection that's going to go through our firewall. Now, I don't know if you've seen the grommet through my firewall, but it is absolutely chockers. I just recently put some stuff out, believe it or not. The wiring here, you can see, is considerably thicker than some of the stuff we would normally see in the Chinese branded stuff. Nice use of heat shrink. This is our switch, and this is why you probably need to buy the harness. So we've got a couple of options. I don't know what that would fit, but you'll put that through, and then that would take the place of a factory switch. Just for your purposes and just stuff that I'm seeing as I'm working on this. So you could obviously drill a hole, mount that switch, and then have that going, just that wire thickness going into your dash. But down the bottom here, you can see there's this little tab, hopefully. Now I think I'm going to need to break that off, just like that. And then now we can mount this flush mount, which is what I want to do. So I'm happier with that. These will be wired into my high beam, as is legal here in Australia. I do believe they supply some breakout cables for use with your different harnesses. And I did see that these harnesses will work with negative switch and positive switch lights. Basically a piggyback harness. And then it's going to give us an output for our driving light, so we can switch these off our high beam. This is connecting in line with our high beam. So it'd be nice if that was all I needed to do. Part of the motivation here for going with these is trying to get more legal. In Australia, I'd probably get in trouble for having this light bar higher than the actual bull bar there. You can see it sits on top, so it protrudes above the bull bar. I can get rid of that and just have the 9s. They will sit rear of the bull bar, so rear of the frontmost part of the bull bar. And then they'll be lower than that top part, which will make it legal. Currently, I don't think this would be legal. I think if a copper wanted to pull me up, I think he could have me for that. So what I'm probably going to do is get stuck in and run the harness itself. Realistically, look, I'm probably not going to show you too much of that. I just need to get this done and just show you a couple of things that you need to be aware of, I suppose. This brown wire is for daytime running lights. So apologise for shouting because I'm standing near the car and I'm thinking I'm still working off the camera mic. So this brown one appears to be for daytime running lights. I think it does say to go to ignition switch somewhere so they'll come on. But just to show you where we're at. So if I connect this just to positive, you get a little bit of light. So they just run dull, basically, for daytime running lights. As far as the switching goes, this harness is absolutely massive, so you're going to have to do some wire management. As far as switching goes, this is working perfectly. So I've been playing with it just to make sure they're working, basically, before I wire this all up and whatever. So top button does our power. They do remember which mode they were on last, so if you just run these in beast mode, that's going to be fine. They're going to keep doing that. And then you've got the mode button. Now it's a little bit interesting in that the mode button will just switch between the spot, which is what you see there. And look, I know it's daytime, but they're not looking that bright. I can see it's definite focus spot, which seems all right. So that'll just switch between spot and I guess your light bar or your spread beam. Interesting that these bottom ones are coming on. So you've still got a little bit of throw and then you've got these ones for spread. So that bottom button is just going to switch between those two modes. If I hold it on, you get beast mode, so you get the whole light. And frankly, probably going to be the way I'm going to run it anyway. I've got to tell you though, and this is way early days, but just showing this around, look, I can't, it's daylight, but I'm just looking at the beam going, I'm not real impressed with how bright these are. Wait until night time. The harness is pretty much plug and play. For those of you who have done it before, take your time, have a think, you'll be fine. I don't know whether I'm sold on this mounting. I mean, it works, it's effective, that's all it really needs to be. All the solidness is in the aluminium frame itself. Again, just referencing these LightForce and pretty much standard design, is you'll typically see this. So a pivot bolt, which holds the light in, and you'll tighten that up once you get it fixed in position where you want it. And again, you've got these like locator bolts or, you know, other extra lock bolts, I suppose, if you will, that you will get your light in position. You'll tighten these up on both sides and then you'll tighten these and crank these down. And this will stop this forward and backwards motion. Now the reason they have those is normally if you just have that one bolt, inevitably with vibrations and stuff, those lights will eventually twist and reposition themselves. All the weight is on top, you know what I mean? Like this, if this wants to lean, all the weight is now down here. So you've got the whole way the lights, so the half the light top and bottom. And you've just got these two bolts either side. Let's just drop this out, just give you a quick look. To show you the grooves, hopefully you can see those. I know where the light's playing, looks like it's about to pour down rain. So you've got grooves on here, and then you've also got grooves on here. Just realised this is actually plastic. It's not metal. I thought that was metal. It's not. It's interesting. This might be a security thing in that I think we're gonna need to put a ratchet on it, so a socket set, and I think that socket's going to sort of fit in there, so nobody with just a 17mm spanner can come back and just undo your lights. When I'm going to want to tighten these now, I need to have a socket on hand. The daytime running lights are on. They're just on very, very dull. As far as daytime running lights, those LightForce, they were absolute, with the little diamond things, they were brilliant. They just appear to be standard daytime running lights. They're on and they're just dim. I'll forgo a little bit of light output and take a less bright light, so long as it's putting the light in the right spot. That's all I care about. The fact that these are Australian made, you know, Australian developed, Australian tested, all that sort of business, hopefully means that these are gonna be exactly what I'm after for Australian roads. Deer, pigs and kangaroos, we don't want to eat any of those. I've got big expectations for these lights. I just do. And my God, I hope they live up to it. I really do. I really, really do. Anyway, all right, stick around and we'll go and do some night testing. Now on the fence you can already see the daytime running lights putting out a little bit of light, so that's how much light they put out. We'll put the Parkers on so you can compare this. Despite the fact that you can see the daytime running lights on the fence in front of us, and that's from the car, and that shelter across the field is directly in line with that. That's actually the ambient light from the club behind me. They've got some lights in the car park. So that's not actually from the daytime running lights, so don't get that confused. It looks like it's running a lot more light than it is. It's not. It's just that little bit of light that you can see in front of us, okay? That's our normal lights. Low beam, high beam. So that's the LightForce, and that's in its spread mode. That's in spot mode. Again, we'll switch. Just the spread is awesome, and those lights definitely need to come up. We'll make an adjustment there, but I think I'm more impressed with the spread beam at this point. But again, I think we've got those pointing pretty much right in front of the car, so we'll adjust that. That spread is absolutely awesome, and again, I think I might be able to separate those lights a little bit, so maybe make that spread a little bit wider. So we've got, that's our spread. That's our spot, and you can see it's a nice, localized spot, I guess, with a little bit of spread either side. And then let's go beast mode. So this is everything, and there you go. That's our low beam, high beam, spread, and that's given a good amount of distance down the road as it is. And then that's our spots. We might have gone too far left. And that's everything. I'm going to tell you, I don't think it's as warm as I thought it was. But that's a nice light. Like, it's real easy on the eyes, actually. Now, I'm almost sure that the colour temperature of these things is about 5500. So I've got low beam, high beam, and then we've got our flood there. Spot. Yeah, we're definitely getting something back off the street signs there. I am starting to think that this is going to do the job. I think this is covering me for spot and spread. I'd probably like the spot. I don't know. We'll have to use them or go for a drive. But this is really usable light. Really usable light. I don't know whether it's just me now. I don't know whether I just always expect lights to be brighter. I think I was expecting them to be brighter. But as far as beam pattern goes, these things are bloody brilliant. Just bloody brilliant. For one light, to be doing all this. Let's go everything, eh? Yeah, look, definitely when you switch from spot to everything, you see the extra spread come in, but you don't necessarily feel like you get any extra light out front. So the spot beam, obviously out front, even localised in the front of the vehicle, seems to be obviously a lot brighter. But what I'm liking about them is, I know I'm saying they're not as bright as I thought they were going to be, but it's a really, really nice light. Like, I know I say I like some beam patterns, I didn't like those laser lights. I wanted more spread on those LIGHTFORCE that I chose. Again, I felt like they should have been brighter. And that's light bar off. Light bar on. So it is brightening up a little bit, maybe out in the centre there. I don't know whether it's enough to justify it being on the car though, to be honest. Low beam. High beam. Light bar. Spread. Spot. Combo with light bar. Okay, we're getting some flare there. They're right in front of us. Yeah, righto. Definitely got flare there. Yeah, it's raining as well, and it's coming off the windscreen and all that sort of business. But I'm definitely not seeing as much flare from these street signs as I do with the other driving lights. And the light out the front of the vehicle is just, I don't know, it's just nice. I don't know whether that helps you at all when I say it's just nice. So keep in mind that, you know, you can just put it on this spot beam, which they suggest is, you know, for highway driving, for example. You know, you're on the freeway or something and you just need that light straight in front of you. Not worried about roos or anything like that coming out from the sides. Just leave it on this beam pattern. And if you're country road or if you're four-wheel driving and you're not doing speed, you just need spread. Put it on the spread. You don't need to worry about throwing light down the road. Country roads, I would definitely be doing that and giving myself everything. So we've got the spread of the light, and I'm throwing light down the road there as well. I've had a lot of lights, light bars included, that claim to be a combo beam pattern. You know, spot and spread, you know, combo beam patterns. And I think this is the first light of all the ones I've tested, first light / and or light bar that has actually done a really good version of a combo light. Low beam, high beam, that's our spread pattern. That's our spot pattern, which is pretty close to being right in front of the vehicle. I don't know if I still need to adjust that or not. Everything. Low beam, high beam, spot, spread. I'm really impressed with that. Everything. And let's throw in the ox beam light bar there. So that's giving us I've got that tilted down further than I normally would. Just give us a little bit of extra light directly in the front of the car, but it's really not making that much difference. Right, so here's another one of our tests here. Low beam, high beam, that's our spread, that's our spots, that's everything. Light bar off. Actually, let's put all the lights on. So that's beast mode, that's our light bar, and that's our fog lights. So we've got everything on there at the moment. Right, fog's off, they weren't really doing much. Light bar off. Let's just go with the spots, eh? feel like I need to take those to the right just a little bit. Low beam, high beam, spread, spots, and I think we might be a little bit high in that tree, but anyway, we'll go with that. So we're definitely seeing those trees without an issue, and I might be seeing those trees the best I've ever seen them at this distance. I don't know. I'm really curious now. I'm definitely going to have to do a comparison on these. I think they are, lighting up those trees, the best I've ever seen them. And, you know, I think I'm at the same distance I'm not. I feel like I've pulled up too close or something. I think I've just realised what it is that I like about the beam pattern. I think that I am literally seeing no, I want to say hot spots, but like the beam pattern out the front, there's definitely a bit of a hot spot out the front, but it's not focused that I'm going, hot spot. Certainly nothing like those lasers. And when you turn it on, it blends in so nice with that spread pattern. And I think that might be what it is. I think it might be that there's, I don't know what I call it, a cold spot, but no gaps. The light is broad, the beam pattern is broad, we've got our throw, but there just doesn't seem to be any gaps in any of the light. I think that's what it is. I think it's a combination. I think it's a combination of color temperature not being as cool, which may be why I'm not thinking these are as bright as they could be, you know? Because I'm so used to that cool temp light that I'm thinking that these aren't as bright. But which is confusing me because like I can see them on things. And I can see how bright they are and how well I can see things. But I'm still thinking, oh, they're not that bright. I don't know. I think it is a combination of those things. I think it is a combination of color temperature, beam pattern, and I know beam pattern is going to also include like the not having any gaps, but just the way that they work together. Right, so we better wrap up the review on these LightForce Beast lights. I think you can see over the course of my experience and the review that you've just seen here, I've got really mixed emotions about these lights. I absolutely adore the way they look. I love the way they look. I love the fact that they're Australian made. That's really nice of you. It's a nice thing to be able to get behind these days. Doesn't happen too often. Really like the beam pattern, like really like the beam pattern. I love the color temperature of the light. It just makes it an easy light to view. I think the CRI is really high on these lights, and I think that's why I'm seeing things just that little bit better out at a distance, despite the fact that they don't feel like they're throwing out that much light. It may not be the brightest light, but it's putting out a quality light and it's putting it out in the right places, so it's really usable, and it's a really easy light to drive with. I've had plenty of other lights that are super cool white, and if you're driven for long hours with those, you know that can get a little bit draining, but I think I could drive forever with these things. As far as fitment goes, it's all but plug and play. I suppose it's a little bit more technical because there's a few extra wires that you need to sort out. If it's your first time wiring up a harness, you've got the instructions there, good instructions, but I would say maybe consider having it taking it to somebody, have it install it for you properly, or just talk to somebody who's had a little bit of experience. I don't think there are any particular downsides, but there are things that I'm not super happy about, let's put it that way. The fact that there's no vibration pad that's supplied with the unit, I'm not sure whether that's going to be an issue. The fact that the mounts themselves are plastic, I've got some concerns in that area. Beyond that, I just look forward to going for a drive at night so I can use my new lights. Yep, they're expensive. Are they 3 times the light that the LightForce lights were? I'm going to have to say no. So if you're in that budget range, I think you'll do really well with the LightFox. But if you've got extra bucks to spare and you want to look at these LightForce Beast lights, I don't think you'll be unhappy either. Again, the one thing I just have to keep coming back to, I've seen other people put it down in reviews, just expected them to be brighter. But at the end of the day, I'm still pretty happy with them. There you go. That's the review on the LightForce Beast lights. I'll put a link down in the description to the LightForce website, just to make things easy for you if you want to do it that way. But no affiliation, paid for them out of my own pocket, and just want to share the experience. Thanks very much for stopping by. Catch you on the next one. Cheers. Oh, now before you go, if you've got any recommendations for a light bar, like a good light bar, let's say around about the $1,000 mark, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, and we'll be looking at 40 to 50 inch one, like a big one to go across the top there. If you've got any recommendations, stick them down in the comments. I'd be happy. I'd be interested to hear what your experiences are and what you recommend. Thanks very much for stopping by again. I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.